going on, guys? Welcome to another week, another video. This week I want to cover the topic of race nutrition. It's a really tricky one. It evolved over the years, so I want to help you out to get to know more about this topic. Bit of history of race nutrition, it changed quite a lot over the years. I started IRONMAN in 2012. Back then the recommendations and products, back then it was Power Bar, the number one. They changed a lot. Back then I remember I had 60 grams of carbs, I had isotonic drinks, all those things. They changed a bit how the sports drinks are distributed in terms of what kinds of sugars are in there. That changed, how many carbohydrates changed, but I want to go step by step and let's start with the first point. So the first point is find out your sodium loss per liter of sweat. So what that means is each body has a different type of sweat rate. And what you need to figure out, and you can figure it out with either a specialist like Carbon Endurance or Precision Hydration. They have great products, they make that as well. They have an online free sweat test on the website, Precision Hydration. I'll pop it in the description. There you can just fill out and you get a rough estimate how much salt you're sweating per liter of sweat. So it's not actually salt. So salt, the classic salt you're using for cooking, is made out of iodine and sodium, or in German iod and natrium. And you only want the natrium or sodium part of it. That's important for muscle function and everything going during a race. It's super key for Ironman. It's quite important for Olympic distance and sprint distance. But half distance and full Ironman especially, it's key to know this. So how much sodium you're losing per liter of sweat is highly individual. Me, for example, I did the test with Carbon Endurance, John Middlewick. It's a device, you can just put it on, it's a medical device. You can put it on at rest and the rate actually doesn't change. So how much you sweat per liter of sweat, how much sodium goes out per liter of sweat, doesn't change if it's 40 degrees, all that. So you just get it tested in rest and then you're good to go. For example, I lose 530 milligrams, so let's say 500 is pretty accurate enough, per liter of sweat. There are some out there like you maybe who lose up to 2 to 2,500 milligrams of sodium per liter of sweat. And mostly those are the ones that have huge salt stains on their clothes after a ride, you know, those white spots on your pants and everywhere. That means you're a high sodium sweater and it's even more important for you. People only think about racing with that. Of course it's super key for racing to have the sodium per liter of sweat figured out, but for training it made a huge difference to me to actually in recovery and performing. One good example is I was on Lanzarote training camp and I always with long rides after like 4 or 5 hours in like 27 degrees, not even super hot, 27 degrees Celsius, I started feeling foggy after 4 or 5 hours and I always thought, it's my fat burning, I'm not so fit, it's not so good, it's that. Turns out actually it's not, because what I did then to test that, if it is actually the fat burning or what it is that made me feel this way, I went 6 hours out there, low intensity but long ride in 27 degrees and I had almost no carbs, but I had the 530 milligrams or 530 grams per liter of sweat. I estimated roughly, hey, I'm a high sweater, so I use about 1.5 liters at that temperature. So I drank that 6 hours and I was fresh as a daisy coming off the bike. I couldn't believe it. First, I was happy that my fitness is there. Second, huge one to figure that out. So you have to figure that out yourself. Another one was a swim session as well. It was outdoor, it was hot, 90 minutes VO2 max. I was a bit dehydrated from before. I had like a bottle of Precision Hydration before with the 530 milligrams. And I was blasting through that swim. I felt cognitive, super fresh, you know, this fogginess sometimes. And it is not always just a fatigue. It's not muscle fatigue, it can be just dehydration, and it's important that you figure that out. So the second point is fluid loss. So the liquid and the sweat you're losing itself. It changes with humidity, temperature, everybody can figure that out, but it's quite important you know that number. One really easy fix, which has been out since the 60s, 70s, 80s, is using a scale. So you can do it on your indoor ride. Let's say you have a 2-hour, 3-hour indoor ride. You scale yourself before the ride and after the ride. Then, of course, if you drink 3 liters of water, let's say during that ride, you have to subtract that number at the end. But through that, you can measure before, after, subtract, and then you have the right number and you know how much sweat you lost at that temperature, at that humidity in your room, and it gives you a good gauge to see where you're at and how much you're losing. In an Ironman, you actually don't hydrate to the full amount. You can't really. In the end, you always want a certain percentage of dehydration, which is also shown to be best in performing, but you can't be like crazy dehydrated because that's not gonna work. So figure out the sodium per hour. So let's say for a full Ironman, I raced an Ironman at 27 degrees. Let's say I lose 1.5 liters of sweat per hour. So I need to put on the bike at least, put that amount of liquid in with the right amount of sodium, and then I'm already pretty set for a good run. Now we come to the third point, one of the most important ones. Let's get into it. So the third point, and that's the point everybody thinks about, is the carbohydrate you can take in per hour. That massively changed over the years, not just the carbohydrate, but also the type of carbohydrates that are in the sports drinks, the fructose, glucose, the ratio. It's a bit of a jungle at the moment, I know that. But what I figured out, and what is the common consensus at the moment, you can train your gut. Back then I was a bit, I'm not sure if you can. They said 60 grams is good. Even for bigger athletes, it was kind of very general. Also with isotonic sports drinks, like back then Power Bar, I just couldn't take in more than 60 grams. I would actually get sick. And the first few Ironmans, the first 3, 4, I spent a lot of time on the toilet actually during the Ironman. I got really sick and I didn't perform well, of course. So it's really important you figure that out. So you have to do this before the race. So instead of believing me, let's go to a few statistics of the winners. Precision Hydration have a really nice newsletter, by the way. They talked about that. The Ironman Mallorca winners of last year, the man, Leon something, he had 120 grams on the bike on average per hour. So way higher than 90, what they say is the maximum you can take in. You can train your gut. And the woman, actually, Ruth Essel, she's in the age group as well and now is doing really well in the pro field. She took in 145 grams of carbs per hour. On the run, of course, a bit less. The man took 75, I think Ruth also 70 or something like it. Because of the running motion, it's difficult to get in more carbs. But if you have that amount in during the bike ride and you can take it with a liquid, with the right amount of sodium, it sets you up for a massive run, of course. And the more carbs you can take in, actually, the higher wattage you can ride. Jan Frodeno, for example, he races a half Ironman at about 118 grams per hour. So you see, it's all very high up there. Back then, it used to be like 80 grams, 70 grams. It changed a lot. You can train your gut, but you need to train your gut with the right product as well. Products that I can recommend for show work is Morton. Morton for show works. They don't have any preservatives in there. Then Precision Hydration has the same. I think some people get really sick through products because they have preservatives in there. That's one. And then also one study from 2013, that's actually what Morton has covered. The ratio of the carbs has to be right. So it has to be 0.8 fructose to 1 maltodextrin. That has been proven in a 2013 study to help with performance and again upset stomach. Sounds all fancy and complicated. Try a product, start at let's say 80 grams, 90 grams, 100 grams, but really try that a 3-hour ride, 4-hour ride and see what happens with your gut. Also with the right amount of liquid. You can't just be drinking 500 milliliters. If you know in the race you have to be drinking 2 liters. So that's another complicated thing to figure out. Okay, we're coming to the end here. I hope this helped you. Just a little summary. Figure out your sodium loss per liter of sweat. Figure out how much you're actually sweating in liters. And the third one, figure out your carbs per hour. Train your gut, see what you can tolerate. Try different products, try 3 different brands, let's say. Like I said, can recommend Morton, Precision Hydration. They're for show work because they don't have preservatives. Try it out, try how many carbs you can take in. Maybe start with 80 grams per hour, 90, 100. See what happens. Don't just take 2 gels because everybody can take 2 gels. Try 5. That's the one easy one to try out. Okay, I hope this helped you. If you have any questions, comments, other opinions, I'm always open to learn. Pop them down in the comment below. Let's discuss and let's all get better together. I wish you a great week. I hope you're healthy and training well. See you next week, guys. Bye-bye. Hey guys. guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can really help me out if you like and subscribe, push your notification bell, comment below what you want to see next, and I see you in the next video.